everyone. Welcome back to Salt and Burn This, a supernatural rewatch podcast. I'm Sammy,
I'm Valerie.
and welcome back. A serious disclaimer for this episode.
Yes.
This episode has a huge guest star named Julie Benz. And if you are a fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer or Angel, she plays a huge part in that. She plays Darla. These shows are part of, I guess, what one would call the Whedon universe, meaning
hmm
Joss Whedon. And we're bringing this up because she will not be the last person from his universe guest starring on this show. And I didn't want to just talk freely about these shows that I love so much. And Valerie, I know you love them so much, and lots of other people love them,
Absolutely.
without also acknowledging some of the serious allegations that have come up for Joss Whedon himself.
Correct.
Yeah. So I know a few years ago, his ex-wife kind of published an essay, like a public essay, kind of basically saying he was a jerk,
Eh,
to very, very much limit, what she said. But
Sure. Said he was projecting himself to be somebody he truly wasn't.
right, right. And then about a year or two ago, there was somebody in the Justice League movie. I don't have his name on the top of my head right now, but the guy who played Cyborg in the DC universe. Some not great things to say about him, that he was really kind of an asshole on
Yeah.
set and he didn't appreciate it. And he's still kind of fighting that battle.
Right. And cut him out of the movie
Yeah,
in
pretty much.
retaliation. Yeah.
Yeah. And then a few weeks ago,
Yes.
Charisma Carpenter, who was also a huge player in the Buffy and Angel universe, came out and made a statement and said, some very specific things about basically Joss Whedon being an asshole. He
Yeah.
was,
His behavior. Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, his behavior and also retaliating against her
yeah,
for I think when she got pregnant during
yeah.
Angel.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't just, that type of, I don't want to say petty, but, petulant infighting. It was more serious natures. I mean, while granted his behavior affected these people's careers,
Mm-hmm.
his what they're saying is that his behavior also was unacceptable behavior on set behind closed doors of a predatory nature.
Yes, yes. And then after Charisma posted her experiences, there were several other cast members who came out in solidarity for her,
Yeah.
or also sharing their experiences. And it can sometimes, well, sometimes it is hard to separate the art from the artist.
Yeah.
And I don't want to downplay that for anybody who may be struggling with that feeling, of, like, oh my God, these shows meant so much to me when I was growing up, or
Right.
or even lately.
Right. They
Um,
still can.
yes,
They still
they,
can.
yes,
It's a group effort to put on a production, and to take one person to ruin your memories or to ruin the efforts of that entire team is, it's sad and it's hurtful, and we need to
mm-hmm,
address it, but there's no
mm-hmm,
reason why you can't still hold the efforts of everybody else involved in these shows that we grew up loving,
right,
uh, that you can't support them and still love their efforts and the product that they put
yes,
out.
yes. And as couple cast members put out, they're proud of the work that they did on those shows and with those
hmm
characters that they portrayed, but they just don't want to be associated with the name Joss Whedon anymore, which I think is a really great way to approach that.
Absolutely.
For both the actors and for fans.
Yes, I will agree with that. I will
Yeah,
absolutely agree with that.
yeah,
Doesn't mean you have to, and you can definitely feel the way you want to
yeah,
feel
exactly.
about this and decide to not want to support anything Joss Whedon has ever done, and that's your
Mm-hmm.
right.
Totally.
And I will not disagree with that either.
Right, right. But we just want to come out and we support Charisma and all of these people who have made statements and have shared their
Yeah,
traumatic
Michelle Trachtenberg.
experiences.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Michelle Trachtenberg as well.
Yes, to her too. So we support them. We stand with them, while at the same time going to talk about these shows in a
Right,
in a in a loving way,
right.
because that's what we choose to do. So, but also holding space for these people and for the truth of these experiences.
Yes. Thank you, Sammy. Thanks for giving us this opportunity to put that out there, to still want to hold on to our fond memories, but
Mm-hmm.
address the seriousness of these matters at the same time.
Well, they're important. It's
Ab-
so with that being said, let's move on And actually, let's go into the episode. We'll just leave the quote unquote banter at that. Sorry,
Yeah.
it's so somber.
We never
So,
said this was going to be a happy-go-lucky
right,
podcast.
yeah, yeah. So let's move on to the episode because oh my god, this was a great episode.
This is a wonderful
Yeah,
episode.
yeah. All right, so let's move forward. All right, season 1, episode 12, Faith. Written by Sarah Gamble and Rael Tucker, the same team who wrote Dead in the Water. Amazing
Yes.
episode.
Yes.
And directed by Alan Croker, I think is how you pronounce it.
Funny that you had a hard time pronouncing it. The show actually titled his name wrong. They spelled
Oh
his
no.
name wrong in the credits. Yep, his title card in the opening sequence spelled his first name wrong.
Oh, his first name.
at
That's
least-
the easy part.
I know. They spelled his name wrong. But so at least you have an excuse.
Right.
What excuse did they have? His
I don't
title
know.
card.
Oh my gosh. All right. Synopsis. Witness the miracle. Faith healer Roy LaGrange cures Dean after an accident leaves him near death. Witness the terror. For every life LaGrange saves, another life must end.
Yes.
I like the way they wrote the synopsis, by the way. It was like a
That-
weird dichotomy type
a
of
little
thing.
a little tingler, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This episode, oh my gosh. So that paragraph alone
Uh-huh.
is something.
Hmm.
But what we learn about Dean and Sam in these episodes.
And the projection of where this show is going to go. Like, this
Yes.
show kind of set the tone for... I mean, we've said that a few times. but
But
this is one of them
continuing-
that sets the
Yes.
tone here.
Yes, it's a jump. It's a step up in the motion, in the forward motion of where this show is going. It's like
Yeah.
if for the first few episodes you're like, okay, and we've said this before, it's a monster show.
Yeah.
You
It's
know,
a monster show.
and-
It's scary.
but you're really starting to see the path the show is taking. You know, because it's continuing on a path now. It's not just starting to take a path; it's continuing down a path.
Right, right. So this episode opens up. The boys are mid-hunt, actually, for a creature called a rawhead, which they don't explain this in the show, but apparently it's like an Irish hobgoblin that preys on children and can be killed by
yeah.
electricity. But they don't
Yeah,
explain any of this.
I'm glad they didn't explain it because
yeah,
the
me too.
history. I went and researched it a little bit. I'm not going
Uh-huh.
to discuss it. It's
Yeah.
disgusting.
Oh,
The actual like sci-fi story that it's based on is
Yeah.
disgusting.
Um.
It's just very I mean it's from a graphic novel and it's
Ah.
graphic in its
Mm.
horridness. So yes, it's a monster that preys on children. We'll leave it
Mm.
at that.
Right. They give like the slight bits of exposition when they're opening the trunk and looking for the weapons and saying like, man, this, we've only got one shot and it takes this amount of volts to kill this rawhead, so we gotta really get in there
Right,
and get
so
it done.
They're
That's
they
about it
pull out-
as far
yeah, you see them pull out a couple of tasers,
Yeah.
and Dean's like, "Yep, they're charged to 100,000 volts. We had this is
Uh-huh.
you only get one shot with a taser, and so we've got to make sure that it counts."
Yeah. Yeah. So
So
then
now
they
we
go
know
into this fucking spooky ass house and dilapidated house where
So why? In the end, my question is, why are there children in this
Right.
house?
Me too. I was like, what the what?
I'm thinking they were grabbed by the rawhead and
Probably, but
held hostage in this house. Hostage in this house.
Yes.
Yes. Why? So they head down the stairs into the basement of this horrifically scary house, and the stairs. These are the worst stairs. This is
Yep.
like nightmares from my childhood.
Uh-huh.
Open slatted stairs leading into the basement. And why
Uh-huh.
do I hate them?
Because you can get a
Because
hand
someone
can like
reach
yes.
hand and reach in, grab your foot, pull you down the stairs. And as soon as I saw those stairs, I was like, well, I know what happens.
Yep.
I know
Yep.
it happens eventually.
Mm-hmm.
So they make their way into the basement. They hear like a noise coming from a cabinet in the basement, and they throw open the doors thinking it's, we think it's going to be a monster, and
Yeah.
it's two children.
Yes.
And it's the children that they need to rescue. So grab the kids, take them outside.
Yeah.
Um,
I also like how Sam asked them, he's like, is it still here? It's like he looped them into the fight
Yeah.
a little bit.
yeah, active in their own rescue.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they get to participate in their own rescue. Yeah. Oh, so Sam grabs the kids and starts to run up the stairs because Dean says he's gonna stay
Yeah.
and hunt the rawhead. And of course, as Sam is running up the stairs with the kids, rawhead reaches through the slats like we
Yeah.
knew he was going to,
Right.
trips up Sam,
Mhm.
and Sam like falls back down the stairs.
Right. And then Dean shoots the taser. You kind of see it attached to something, but you don't the
I
camera
think it's
doesn't
a
show that.
miss.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a miss. Like maybe he hit the wall or something.
Right. Well, what the springs of the taser stay taut. You know what I mean? So
Right,
he did
right,
hit
right.
something.
He hit something.
Um so then Dean says like, "No, just take the kids." You know, Sam throws him his own taser so he can stay behind and get
Hmm.
him. A tussle ensues between him and they
This is
show the raw head, which is like a weird leatherface type of situation. I don't know.
yeah, like a homeless leatherhead. I mean, like
Yeah.
big hair, scruffy looking.
Yeah.
Again, not a, we don't get a good look at him,
No, I don't think they
which is
took a lot of time on this anyway since he was a brief appearance.
and but Dean gets knocked down. And he gets knocked down into like some standing water in the
Mhm.
basement. And the like rawhead comes around the corner, and
Mhm.
Dean fires the taser and hits him, hits the
Mhm.
rawhead, and the rawhead is like getting electrocuted. And then the rawhead stumbles into the same puddle of water that Dean is laying in, and
Yeah,
Dean
and
gets electrocuted at the same
through the
time.
current. Yeah.
Ugh.
I know.
And you just see him. He's like, he
Yep.
sees it kind of happening, and he can't do anything to stop it.
Yeah. Yeah. I have to say electricity is one of my abnormal fears. You know. I don't even though it might be safe, like if there's a light that needs rewiring or something like
Hmm.
that, and even if the circuit's off or what have you, I don't touch it. Like that's
Right.
not
Yeah.
in my
That's not an abnormal fear. That would be self-preservation. I'm just gonna
Well,
give
I
you
guess
that
what I'm
one.
trying to say is sometimes, if I'm like, "Oh, I don't wanna touch that because it's, there's water like 3 feet away from a cord plugged into the wall," and they're just like, "Dude, it's fine, it's not gonna get you this way." And I'm like, "Oh, no, you don't know."
I'll just be over here with my rubber shoes and my rubber gloves.
Yep, yep.
That's funny. I was gonna tell you a story about the time when I accidentally touched an electric fence.
Oh my god.
I was trying to pet a cow, and I couldn't quite get close enough to the cow, so I put my hand on the fence to lean in, and yeah,
Oh.
and
Did you
then I got
poop
mad at the
yourself?
almost, almost, but I got mad at the cow. Like once I was able to like gather my wits, I was like, "You stupid cow!"
Oh.
Like it was the cow's fault that I couldn't reach it to pet it.
Oh,
So we don't
no.
know. Rawhead's dead, but is Dean? We can't tell.
Right. Yeah. The next scene is just in a hospital, and Sam is talking to a nurse. She hands it, or talking about insurance, and he gives her some ID.
Yeah. Do you know who that is?
Yes, I
The
do.
nurse.
Yep. And here's why. Supernatural is on TNT like all the time. There's like a little mini marathon basically every weekday. So I had that on in the background a few weeks ago. And another episode that she was in, not her main role,
Oh,
but she's in Supernatural 3 times total, or as 3 different
it's three
characters, I
different
should say.
characters. Yeah.
And so it was her other one that they were doing a close up of her face. And I was like, that looks like Hannah.
Right.
And I looked it up and it was. And then when I was watching this, yesterday, I was like, "Oh, that looks like
Same.
Hannah again," you know?
Yeah. I I actually didn't recognize her as Hannah.
Uh-huh.
But once I went back and I looked at who people were, and I was like, oh my god! I had that moment of, oh,
Yeah.
it's Hannah.
Yeah.
Okay. So also, since like aha moments, did you look up who the Rawhead was?
No, I didn't.
He's in 4 other Supernatural
Oh my god.
episodes as, like, monsters.
Oh, that's
Um,
great.
yeah, Nicholas Harrison. He's also been on The X-Files, Stargate, Smallville, Psych, and I just almost overlooked him because he's so short, he's so brief in this
Yeah.
episode. I was like, "Eh," and then I went back and looked him up, I was like, "Holy cow!"
Wow.
4 different, monsters on
Yeah.
Supernatural, and same thing with the receptionist. I mean, the receptionist, who's gonna look up her name? She only says,
Right, she was in
"I
there for like 5 seconds in this
yeah, we need
episode.
your insurance. Thank you, Mr. Berkovitz."
Yeah. That's it.
And then goes on to be a
Yeah.
main player later on.
Yeah, much later
When
on, just for
much
listeners'
later.
record. And
Yeah.
slight spoiler alert, she does come back. It's like 8 years later
Mhm.
as a recurring character for several
Yeah.
episodes. So we will see
Yeah.
her again, not just once, but twice.
Yeah. Yeah. So Sam and Dean in the hospital.
Right. The doctor comes by, talks to Sam, and gives a very terrible prognosis for Dean. Says
Yeah.
he suffered a heart attack, left severe damage, and gives him 2 weeks to live, a month at most. This was
That's
this is
a lot of
huge,
damage. Yeah.
huge news.
Sam just got his brother back.
I know. It's
They
awful.
yeah, they just made the decision to stay together, to work together,
Mm-hmm.
and to, figure things out. And it's like his big brother, his big, like, fearless, indestructible Dean
Yeah.
has been given 2 weeks to live. And it's
Right.
his heart. It's not just, oh, patch up the arm. It's
Yeah.
his heart.
Yeah. And also, spoiler alert, not the only time that Dean or one of the brothers
Is in
have
mortal peril.
yes, yes.
I don't mean to laugh.
No, but it
Um,
it becomes a thing.
yes.
So Sam goes in to see Dean. Dean looks like utter shit. Like, looks like he is on his deathbed for
Yeah.
real.
Uh-huh.
Flipping through the channels and making, smart ass remarks about how daytime TV sucks.
Right, which is funny because Jensen Ackles got his start on Days of Our Lives.
You are looking at the IMDb trivia.
No, I knew
Ah.
that. I knew that because I used to watch Days of Our
Oh.
Lives. Remember?
That's right, that's right, that's
Remember
right,
I
that's right.
scheduled my classes around
Yes, and I
Days of Our
questioned my
Lives?
friendship. Yes. Yes.
Yep. But I'm glad that my experiences and my knowledge has made it to IMDb.
Yes. Sam is super somber about this news, and he's not, he's not really taking it well, I think. I don't
Yeah,
think I would either.
Dean's being flippant, but Sam is like, "Come on,
Yeah, we gotta,
this is serious."
we gotta figure this out.
Yeah. And it's like Sam is once like struggling with Dean's mortality.
Yeah.
So Sam goes back to the motel, leaves Dean at the hospital,
Mm-hmm.
and is now researching like how do we fix this?
Yeah.
He's got all sorts of like medical journals out
Mm-hmm.
and heart diagrams and things like that out on
Yeah.
the bed while
Yeah.
he's researching, I guess, not only medical fixes, but now he's looking up like supernatural
Yes,
fixes.
because the doctors don't know what
Right.
Sam and Dean know.
Right. And he even says that because he calls his dad. He leaves a message for John. Again, reaching out when all hope is lost. They reach out to John. John still doesn't respond.
No, and
Yet the
not for
boys
the
keep
whole episode. He does not
yeah,
respond.
but the boys still think that dad's listening.
Yeah.
So they always do reach out to him.
Sidebar, real
Yeah.
quick. So remember the last time, I think it was in Home, when Dean calls Dad and the voicemail plays,
Yeah.
right? And I mentioned, oh,
The
it's a
phone number
different phone
change.
number.
Mm-hmm.
Because the first time it was a 785, which is a Kansas area code, but then 555, which is not, is typical TV media number, so no one calls it. This phone number is real.
Is
Because
this a third? Is this a
no,
third number?
it's the same number as it was in Home,
Oh, okay.
which is 866-907-3235. So I started asking myself, A, why did they change it? And B, why are they using a non 555 number? So
Yeah.
I Googled it, and it was at the time a number that they had bought, and people could call it, fans could call it, and it would be Jensen Ackles' voicemail. Like he would leave a voicemail, or his voice inbox, I'm sorry. And it would say, "This is Dean Winchester. If this is an emergency, leave a message. If you are calling about 11-2-83, page me with your coordinates." And November 2nd, 1983 is the date that his mother died.
Jensen's mother?
No,
No.
the show.
Oh, okay.
Mom.
Dean's mother.
Mom.
Mom.
Yeah.
Okay, Mary Winchester.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, that's really cool. Did you call the number?
No, because it doesn't exist anymore. Because I kept reading. It's like, no,
Oh,
they got rid of it. Because that was 15 years
15.
ago.
Right.
But it would also change. It changed, I think, just once. But as the show progressed, it would kind of change with whatever was going on in the show. And then later it said, "Dad, we really need to hear from you. Leave me a message, text me, check your J Winchester 1246 email, anything. We have new info."
I think I would have called that number.
I probably would have too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that
Just
was
like
interesting.
I love that. I also dialed that Jenny, don't change your number.
Oh, eight six seven five
8675309.
three zero nine.
Yeah, and you know what? Jenny did not answer. So
Oh, bummer.
everyone said she did, but she doesn't.
Okay, so after Sam gets off the phone with Dad's voicemail,
Hmm.
Dean shows up at the door, still looking like death. No
Even
pun
worse,
intended. Yeah.
actually. Yeah.
He's cracking jokes. Says I'm not gonna die in a hospital where the nurses aren't even hot. And you know what? I'm gonna give him these horn dog moments, considering he's
He's
days away
dying.
from death.
Yes.
Let the man live.
Yes.
Appears Dean has been in the hospital for 3 days. Because Sam says something. I've been looking for the past 3 days of
Mm.
how to heal you, and I found a person after calling a lot of Dad's contacts in his journal. There's somebody in Nebraska who can fix you. It's kind of vague
Right.
about it. He
Yeah.
just says, "Oh, there's this guy in Nebraska. We're
Yeah.
going."
We're going. Yeah. Dean's like, you're not gonna let me die in peace, are you?
Yeah.
And Sansa's not gonna let you die.
Yep.
So,
Off they go to Nebraska.
and this they pull up in front of this like tent revival,
Mhm.
and
Oh, I do just want to say
yeah,
that, the first run that I watched this, I was like, "What? Nebraska doesn't deserve a town
no
Chiron?"
card. Yeah. I almost said that, but I was like, yeah, Valerie, you have enough notes to say. But yeah, there's no
No,
call out.
but later on, when I watched it the second time, when Sam is flipping through some newspaper articles, I paused
Hmm.
it because it said something about Nebraska, and it says the church is in Ford City, which there is no Ford City, but there is a Ford, Nebraska, which is right on the edge of the western border of the
Oh,
Panhandle.
okay.
Well,
But I mean, is it? I
it's
guess my
not
question
no
is
that no. This was just like it didn't make a huge deal out of it.
right. But my question is, did they intentionally? Is there a reason why the writers didn't
I don't know.
do
I
it? I
couldn't.
guess is my question.
I couldn't find.
And I
Couldn't
have I
find
have
an
a couple of
answer
questions like that for this
later.
episode.
Okay.
Like, yeah, was some of these details intentional?
Right. Right.
Um,
I don't. Yeah. I'm not sure if this one was. I couldn't find anything about it. I just because I'm born and raised in Nebraska. I'm like, hey, I.
well, when they said we're going to Nebraska, I was like, all right, here's Sammy's chance. And I was
No,
like, there's no,
there's
no,
nothing.
there's nothing.
Nothing.
It's
But
Nebraska.
I do just want to say that this this kind of thing would be more apropos for Oklahoma instead of Nebraska. I mean, granted, I didn't spend a lot of time in western Nebraska. The whole like church faith healing, this kind of
Yeah,
setting.
yeah.
The town that I lived in, Oklahoma, was, I don't know the population off the top of my head, not a huge town, but had 88 churches within it.
One town?
One town had 88 churches. And in Nebraska, I feel like there would maybe be four, of an equivalent size.
Wow. Wow. One of the towns I grew up in had four churches,
Yeah.
and they were each on the corner of the town
Uh huh.
green. Four.
Yeah.
And they were all in the same place.
Uh huh.
One of the things I liked about this episode is while it is taking place in like a tent revival and the show's
Yeah.
called Faith,
Hmm.
this they don't beat you over the head. This is
No.
not a beat you over the head with religion episode.
No, not really.
And I appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah. I felt the same about Hookman.
Yes.
There was a lot of talk about faith and religion and God and praying and angels,
Yeah.
but it was done
But
in a tasteful way.
yeah, it was more a character's choice of,
Yeah.
of their own faith and religion. It wasn't about the
Mhm.
show. It wasn't a
Mhm.
they weren't making a statement whether it was good or bad or evil, or it was just what it was. Those
Yeah.
characters had their faith.
So they drive up to this tent. Dean is like, "Are you freaking kidding me? You brought me to a faith healer?
Right.
What are you thinking?" Sam is just so desperate for any
To
kind.
save.
Yes,
Yeah.
he's just like, "Why, have a little faith." um,
Yeah. Sam
why?
says if you know evil is out there, how can you not think that there's good as
Yeah,
well?
yeah. A little philosophical discussion between the boys here about,
Yeah.
seeing is believing. I've seen the things that we deal with, so I can believe those.
Right. But I haven't seen
Mhm.
people actually be healed by God, by religion, by belief.
Mhm.
Uh, which is punctuated by a protester out front of
Yeah.
the tent saying, "This
He
guy's a fraud."
yeah.
You know, he's just stealing people's money. He's preying on their beliefs and taking their money.
Yeah, yeah. So
uh,
enter Layla, played by Julie Benz, who we mentioned earlier from Buffy and Angel fame,
yeah,
who is just I
she's
know
wonderful.
she is wonderful. Yes, she's just graceful and her voice is unique and soothing and
Yeah,
kind of like a perfect actress for this role, I thought.
I agree. And she enters with the infamous, God works in mysterious ways.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the first thing she says.
And Dean responds in its infamous horn
Horn
dog ways.
dog. Yes. I think you may have just turned me
Yeah.
around. Can't keep, he's dying, but he still can't keep the
I
douchebag
know.
away. But, Layla doesn't fall for it. She
Yeah.
not only does she not fall for it, she's not bothered by it
Right.
either.
Yeah, she's just
She
like,
doesn't take
"Yeah, okay."
yeah,
Mhm.
she's not offended by it. She's not here to change his mind and be like, she's just like, all right, that's you. She's
Mhm.
still friendly,
Yeah.
and they all go inside the tent.
Mhm.
And for this faith healing, there's people with crutches and walkers and people on
Mhm.
oxygen. You always hear somebody hacking and coughing somewhere in the
Yep.
background.
Yep.
Um,
We got this kind of I want to say like Southern Baptist sound of the piano
the pia-
behind.
I loved
Mm.
that. That was so bluesy.
Yes,
It was
there's something about this piano. Hold on.
Oh, I was like, this is great. I loved it. I love the atmosphere it created.
The composer, the music guy,
Hmm.
they specifically used a smaller piano that had 76 keys instead of 88 because that's what a traveling evan evangel evan
E- Evangelicist. Now I can't say it. Evangelicist. Faith
evangelist,
healer.
a faith
No.
healer, a traveling church people would have used like smaller pianos like that and just like off key and really rattly.
It's been
Um,
in a box or it's been moved on and off trucks. And
yes, yes. This piano was used on tour with Jefferson Airplane in the early 70s.
stop.
Yeah, for all those music listeners that we have. Which actually may not be a joke. We may have a lot of music.
Right. I'm impressed that you found that out, Sammy.
Thanks.
I feel like I'm the one who ends up going off on little benders on.
Oh, I had to keep up. So they enter this tent, and Sam forces them to sit up front, much to Dean's chagrin. He's like, "Oh my god."
Right. And the preacher's led up to the stage. He turns out he's blind.
Mm-hmm.
Um and he starts with the God rewards the good, punishes the
Mm-hmm.
corrupt, all this,
Mm-hmm.
religious trope which I despise, but it had to be said
Yeah.
because that's kind of the theme.
Yep.
And Dean is still cynical. And
Yeah.
so he's mouthing off under his breath,
Yes.
you
But the
know.
blind guy hears him.
Right. Right.
Uh, blind guy
He's like,
named Roy LaGrange.
who is wonderful in this
Yes,
role.
he really is.
Kevin McNulty.
Was he in Stargate and X Files and Psych?
Yes.
I
And
totally
Battlestar
was just
Galactica.
guessing. I feel that this must be the
Super.
same casting
He's
directors who were a part of the
it's
show.
got to be because he's also on other Supernatural
Oh,
episodes.
he is?
He's on other Supernatural. He was on Stargate Atlantic, Psych, Battlestar Galactica. Yeah, I mean anybody who's an actor in Canada apparently
Right.
can be on all of these shows.
Preacher Roy invites Dean up, much to their surprise.
I think I was looking more at Dean, just
Yeah.
knowing it's like I'm that same person. I hate to be called on. I don't like
Yeah.
being brought up on the stage. I don't like audience participation.
Yeah.
I mean, and Dean's there for a reason. He's
But not of his accord. You know, his brother
yes,
drug him along. He doesn't want to be there, but he's just
right, right.
And Dean, he's honest. When he goes up there, he's just like, I'm really not a believer.
Yeah.
I don't know if I should be up here. And Preacher Roy is just like, don't worry, son, you will be.
Yeah, you will be. That's a Star Wars line, by the way. That's
Oh.
Yoda. That's Yoda. Luke says, "I'm not afraid," and Yoda says, "You will be.
Oh.
You will be." So that's a total Yoda line. That is absolutely Star Wars. No getting around it.
Right.
So, um, and so preacher lays his hands on Dean.
Yeah, he has kind of a move that he will repeat throughout the episode of like he clasps his hands together in
Hmm.
prayer and maybe like gathering up the power of the gift. This is just my own interpretation.
No, I love it. Keep going. I'm entranced.
Takes the hands apart in order so he can lay his healing hand on top of Dean's head.
Hmm.
Dean is shocked because he's actually feeling something happening, and you can visibly see this too. Of
Yeah.
his face, and he literally drops down to his knees.
Yep. The sound, the audio has
Mhm.
changed.
Yeah.
It's now this like deep kind of rumbling. It's a subtle rumbling,
Yeah.
but like the plinkety plinkety of the piano has stopped and it's just kind of turned into this, it's not evil, it's just a rumble.
No, it's
It's a rumble.
ominous, I would
Yeah.
say, an
Yeah.
ominous sound. And Dean gets knocked out, for a second. And then like when he
Yep.
comes to, you can tell he feels healed, but confused as to why he feels healed. And
Uh-huh.
you also see a mirage kind of thing
Like
of
behind the preacher.
behind the preacher of a super super old guy, and you see him turn away and then he kind of disappears.
Just disappears. Yeah. So clearly not somebody, not a guy in the room.
Or yeah.
Um, but also because of how decrepit his
Yes.
he was. Like nobody that old should still be standing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So back at the hospital.
Yeah.
um, Dean's gone back to the hospital, and the doctor, there's a new doctor checking him out, and it's like, no, your brother's fine.
Well, it's a different
Oh,
hospital, right? Because I
oh,
don't
it's in
know where.
Nebraska.
Yeah.
Duh.
I don't know where they were before, but now they're in the Nebraska
Oh,
hospital.
thank you for that. So now they're in a hospital. So not
Mhm.
back to the hospital. They went to a hospital
Mhm.
to have Dean checked out. And the doctor's like, I don't know why you brought him in. He's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
No sign of any, heart issues. Unlike this other guy
Yeah.
who just dropped dead.
Yeah. With a
Same
heart
age,
attack.
young guy just dropped dead, had a heart attack. Because, you just never know.
Right.
And Dean is like, excuse me?
Hmm.
What just happened? Somebody just died and I'm healed.
Yeah. So Sam
And
is just like, "Yay!" and Dean is like, I don't feel great about this. There's
yeah,
something going on. Have a little faith in my
yeah.
intuition," he says, with as a jab.
All right. He's like, I felt wrong. I felt cold. You may think I'm healed, but it feels wrong. And
Yeah.
plus, I saw an old guy
Yeah.
when I was. And Sam's like, I would have seen that. Me with all my visions. I've been
Right.
seeing a lot of stuff. I would have seen that.
Hmm.
Which, again, not the right thing to say to Dean. Know the room.
Yeah.
Not the right thing to say. Um, yeah, have a little faith. Oh, Dean said, what's he say? He says, excuse me, psychic wonder.
Yeah. Just like, but
Yeah,
I've
I
been
know what I
hunting long
saw.
have when I
Yeah.
know when to trust this feeling. So have
Yeah.
a little faith in
Have
me,
faith
why
in
don't
me.
you?
Yeah, exactly. Zing. So Dean decides to go back and talk to the preacher and his
Mhm.
wife,
Mhm.
and ask about, these supposed miracles.
And Roy gives his little backstory, which is, one day I woke up stone blind, had cancer, had only a few months to live, and through the power of prayer, I was
I
one
was
day
healed,
miraculously healed.
minus my sight.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. But plus I found I had the ability
Mhm.
to heal other people. He
Mhm.
says over time I figured I had this gift, I should probably use it. And Dean, I love this. He says, "Why save me?"
Yeah.
He's not asking about other miracles. This is the
Uh-huh.
Dean moment. He's like,
Yeah.
why me?
Yeah.
Why did you choose me? And the preacher says, I looked into your heart and you stood apart from all the rest. And that's the first time that somebody sees Dean for Dean.
Yeah.
You know, not the big brother,
Mhm.
not the hunter,
Mhm.
sees Dean for Dean, you
Right.
know.
And
And
he's
and Dean, the way Dean doesn't even see himself.
yeah. Yeah, and preacher Roy says, "No, you have a purpose and it's not done yet."
And this is how I knew this episode was going to be really, really different.
Yeah.
This the guy, this preacher isn't just, you know, throwing hallelujahs and praise
Yeah.
Jesus. He's talking heart to heart,
Yeah.
literally heart to heart with Dean.
Yeah. So,
And he believes what he's saying.
mhm. Mhm. While Dean is at Roy's, Sam is off trying to
Somebody
find a
is
little
like
huh?
Oh, I was gonna say, I think he's, like, at a health club, right? He went to
Yeah,
the
he's talking to the friend of the man who passed, the one the doctor told them about. Just trying to see like what did he have, a
heart
history
problems.
of heart problems and this
Right.
guy's like, "No, he was really healthy. It was kind of
Running track, and
nothing was there and he just dropped dead. It was
yeah.
weird."
Yeah, he said he
And
was, like, freaking out.
yeah.
He said something was chasing him, he was freaking out, but
Yeah,
there's
but
nothing there.
nothing there. And as Sam is leaving, he says, "Oh, your clock is broken. It's stuck on 417." And the guy's just like, "Yeah, that just kind of stopped working at that time." Sam makes a
Yeah.
guess of, is that the same time Marshall died, maybe?
Yep.
Yeah, how'd you know?
"How'd you know? Dot, dot, dot."
Yeah.
I wrote down, "Take a note."
Yeah.
That was my big note for that. "Take a note, 417, Marshall died."
Yeah. We go back to Dean. He's leaving Roy's house, and Layla is coming into Roy's house. And they say, "Oh, hey, what you doing here?" Layla is with her mom as well. Sue Ann, who is Roy's wife, comes out and says, "I'm sorry, Layla. Roy is not seeing anybody else today. Don't worry, you'll get your turn." And leaves them on the doorsteps. And Layla's mother turns to Dean and gives this look, and Dean catches it. He's like, "Oh,
What?
what did I do?" And
Yeah.
she just says, "Why do you deserve to live?" I'm not sure if I'm quoting this in order or not, but basically that's what she's saying.
That's her vibe is, "Why
Yeah.
do you get to live while my daughter dies?"
Yes.
Um, and we find out that, Dean, of course, is like, "What's wrong? Like,
Yeah, what's going on?
why are you guys here?" And Layla says, "I have a brain tumor." And she's like, but it's okay. Don't feel bad because I have a brain tumor." But her mom is like, "No, you know, Layla, you deserve to be healed. Why this guy? Why not only why Dean, but why all these strangers ahead of you?"
Yes, they've been to
And
every service so far,
right,
and still they keep getting passed over by these other people.
right. But her, unfortunately, she's misguided and says, she believes that because of their faith and their perseverance, that they deserve to
Mm-hmm.
be healed over other people who she, I guess, assumes are not as faithful as she is.
Right.
And so in that moment, I was kind of angry at her for being angry at Dean. Dean didn't ask to be healed,
Right.
you know? But at the same time, I can completely empathize with her because she's powerless and she
Yes.
loves her daughter and she
Yes.
wants her daughter to live.
Yes, especially
So,
since she's seen this miracle being worked time and
right,
time again. And she's
right,
like, "He has the power to heal my daughter. He's just choosing not to
right.
for
It would
whatever
be,
reason."
yeah, and I had to check myself because I
Yeah.
was angry at her initially. And then I literally had to take a step back and say, "No, she's she's actually not wrong. She's not
Yeah.
wrong in her anger."
Yeah. This is also the moment I thought that Layla became a person in Dean's eyes instead of just a babe.
Yeah, good point. Like a
And
little veil was lifted off his eyes.
yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just like, wow, she's really suffering, she's only got 6 months to live, This
right.
is this is
And
awful.
yeah, and not only is he's like, "I get to live.
Mhm.
She gets to die." Now, we don't know, and he doesn't know, and Layla doesn't know that the preacher would have chosen her if Dean wasn't there. So if
Right.
Dean hadn't been there, would Layla have gotten chosen?
Right.
We don't know.
Right.
But he's still gonna hold that
Yeah.
survivor's guilt,
Yeah.
whether he's the reason she's dying or
Uh-huh.
not living, I should
Right.
say.
Yeah. Yeah. So he goes back to the motel. Sam is there. He's got his his face is super downtrodden because he realizes Dean was right. And
Yeah,
even the first words that out of his mouth are, "Dean, I'm really sorry.
yeah. I shouldn't. This is my fault.
Yeah, Marshall died the same time that you were healed."
Can I take a minute to point out how despairingly dark and dingy this motel room
Yeah,
is?
it is.
I was like, wow, dark, like maroon
Yeah.
walls and no sunlight, no, just a depressing room
Yeah,
until you walk
very
into the kitchen and it's like, whee!
yeah.
But yes, I was pretty impressed by the somber motel room.
Yes. So not only did he find out that Marshall died the same time that Dean was healed, but this has happened every time that Roy has been healing people. And the people who die they suffer the same symptoms that the person Roy is healing.
Right,
For
right,
instance, this guy died of a heart attack, which is what Dean had suffered from.
right. Yeah. And so Sam's been researching this. He
Yes.
finds that every single time
Yeah, I think this
there's
is
a
a little bit of a guilt for, oh man, I just rushed into this thing, desperate plea to save my brother's life without thinking
the
of,
consequences.
yeah, the
Yeah.
consequences. And then Dean kind of at this moment pieces together what's happening. He says there's only one thing that can give or take life like that, a reaper, which
Yeah.
is
And
what I
Sam's like,
saw.
yeah. And Sam's like, the Grim Reaper.
Mhm.
And Dean says, not the Reaper,
Yeah.
a Reaper.
Yeah. So they're talking about the reaper and what they can do. Uh it's kind of like a voiceover over the scene of Roy healing somebody else. This old man who has some sort of respiratory thing because he's got
Right. Because he's
the,
got those cannulas, the oxygen in
yeah.
his nose. Yeah.
Mhm. He's doing that, and this girl is running a trail and hears
Is
something. It's like,
right. And is
hello?
now being chased by the
This old
Reaper.
thing, which we know
Yes.
is a reaper. Just a note, in the Netflix version, they use a pretty good song, but in the original version, it's Don't Fear the Reaper,
Right.
which
Right.
was, oh,
Pretty
so
on the nose.
perfect. Yeah. But even the way they sequenced it, with
Yeah.
the instrumental introduction, and once they finally started singing, it was just like, oh, this was so good. Son of
Yeah.
a
I wish I
bitch,
could.
Netflix.
I wish I could have heard the "Don't Fear the Reaper," but I I think they still did a good job
Yeah,
with this particular insert.
I do too. Me
Yeah.
too. I
So
think you can find on YouTube, like if you just search Supernatural Don't Fear the Reaper, I think it will play the
that
original
scene.
scene.
Oh, okay.
So if you
I
ever
sh-
want to see what the difference is,
yeah.
you can look that up because
Okay.
it's so different. And sometimes in a really good way and sometimes just in a different way,
Yeah.
like equally as good, but
Yeah. I I was stunned when I saw that they used "Don't Fear the Reaper" because I didn't have any issues with this scene without it.
yeah, yeah,
So
true. Me too.
as long as Valerie doesn't have any issues, the show is fine. Yeah, so this young woman is running through the woods being chased by the Reaper. The Reaper catches up to her and lays his hands on her.
Mhm.
At the same time, Roy is the preacher is laying his hands on this older guy.
Yeah.
And we see the young girl die.
Yeah, she
Then the next
turns
thing we see,
gray, her eyes get cloudy, and she grabs
yep,
her throat, like she can't breathe.
can't breathe. And then we see the cut back to Roy and the old man, and now the Reaper is there laying his hands on the old guy
Yeah.
at the same time that Roy has his hands on him.
Mhm. Mhm.
And suddenly the old man, like, eyes go wide, he takes a deep breath, he pulls out his oxygen,
Yeah.
cannula, and stands up and deep breath, and the church goes
Wild.
bananas. He's
Mhm.
healed.
So back at the motel, Sam and Dean are now doing research about reapers themselves.
Hmm.
You see a lot of printouts and things of like skeletons in robes or the figure with the scythe.
Right, right.
And even Sam mentions like, wasn't he in a robe? And Dean's like, no, he was in a suit. What you think?
What? You think that
Which
they
I
he
have to say, I love that choice that they put the Reaper in a suit instead of the
the
robe
robes?
because
Yeah,
that can come off as a little cheesy.
right. It's a caricature. Yeah,
Yeah. So I'd love that costume choice of putting the Reaper in a
very
suit.
austere black and
Yes.
white suit.
Mhm.
Yes, yes. Someone who could actually blend into the crowd if
Yeah.
necessary, but still stands apart.
Yeah.
Well put together
Yeah.
Reaper. Yeah, and so they discover, or they think they discover, that Roy is binding this Reaper to him with like black magic, with like tarot magic.
Yeah, Sam pulls out
Um,
this was a weird stretch for me, but just Sam like
the
flips up
the
a
tarot
a
card.
tarot card and it's like, "See, this is it. This is the answer." You know.
It, yeah, tarot magic. Because this picture shows a Reaper with the Coptic cross.
Oh, yes, we should mention that there's this cross that keeps reappearing within the tent and in their research. Sam sees the same cross symbol.
Yeah, yeah. It's a cross, but it has a round head basically. So
Yeah.
it's called a Coptic cross.
Yeah.
Um,
So they say, "Oh,
yes,
this is it. Must be dark magic," which that was weird that they associated tarot with dark magic,
dark
but
magic. Right, Right.
whatever.
Um,
They do also mention that in their lore, anyway, Reapers can stop time,
yeah,
which is why that clock
right.
had stopped.
Yeah, and I wonder, like, why is that important? I mean, or like, why is that significant? That's the same thing, Valerie. Why is that important? Why is that significant? Like, I don't understand where what the importance is of Reapers being able to stop time.
I don't know. I think maybe they were just
Is
maybe
it so
this
that
was part of the research that they had come up with. Like maybe there was like this weird flip of Father Time is also the Reaper, or the Grim Reaper. I don't know. Maybe they were just kind of throwing in what they found out about Grim
right?
Reapers.
Maybe we just don't need to question it.
Yeah,
Dean wants to kill Roy at this point. So once they figure out that it's they think that Roy is binding this Reaper, Dean wants to kill Roy because Roy is now
the
the
bad guy.
epitome of all that's wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He's just like, you know
It's
what we
why
got to do?
yeah, and Sam's like we can't kill
A human
people.
being. Yeah,
Yeah, because that makes us them.
yeah,
He's that makes us killing somebody to save somebody else, and we
yeah,
don't do that.
yeah.
And Dean says, "Well, we can't kill death, so what do we do?" Um, hold that in
For
your brain
later.
for a few years.
Yeah,
Um, but so we need to figure out a spell. We need to figure out how to. We got to figure out what this spell is that's binding the Reaper to Roy and break it.
right.
So that's their solution
Yes. So
instead of
they,
killing Roy.
right, right. So they go back to the tent because he's doing another healing service. They run into the protester for a second time, and this time they're kind of like, yes, doing God's
Yeah,
work,
that's right.
keep it
Right.
up.
Keep it up, brother.
Yeah,
Yeah. They even take his flyers.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um,
So Dean goes
and
into the tent to just kind of keep an eye on things there, and Sam is going to go sneak into their house while they're at the service to look for clues.
clues. And so Sam is investigating inside the house, like going through their library essentially,
Mm-hmm.
and notices on one of the bookshelves that there's dust, but except in front of one of these books, there's no dust.
I know, he's so
Uh,
smart.
I
Little
know. So he
detective.
figures this is the book that people have been reading. And just a little prop shout out that
Uh-huh.
the name on the book of this encyclopedia of Christian of Christian
Uh-huh.
history. The author is actually the art department coordinator.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
love that.
They just a little call out to Adrian. I'm not going to even say that last name. Herzog. So the encyclopedia is written by
Right, the
Adrian
art director.
Herzog. Yes, the art director.
That's
So a
awesome.
little shout out to the
Yes.
props. So he pulls that book off the shelf because he realizes that must be the book that's been, flipped through. And
Mm-hmm.
then he sees behind that book, there's another book,
Yeah, a little one.
a
Mm-hmm.
little, yeah, even smaller book that he pulls out uh, and starts to flip through this. Like this must be where these spells are being kept.
Yeah.
And he comes across newspaper clippings.
Mm-hmm.
And one is the headline is about an out like school teacher, like a gay school
Yeah, a gay
teacher,
school teacher, and
uh,
then
an
the
abortion rights,
yes,
right?
and you see the I feel like you see the picture on the abortion one where it's the girl
It's
that
the
we just
girl.
saw get
Yep,
killed by
it's
the Reaper.
so fast. It goes by
Yeah.
so fast. Yeah. And then a third article that he pulls out is the protester guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It was this article, by the way, that I paused on to
Oh,
see if I could find the city of the
oh, here's a all right, this is my personal connection to it. The
Uh-huh.
protester's name is David Wright. It says
Uh-huh.
that like protester David Wright.
Yeah.
A school buddy of mine from college, David Wright. Funniest guy you'll ever meet. He's so funny. And
I'm
he
I met him.
did at Wolf Trap.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. He is super
Yeah.
funny.
He's super funny, and my favorite memory of him in school was he was in a play. He played a priest, and the priest did an impression of bacon frying in a pan. And so my memory of David Wright is rolling around on the stage
Uh-huh.
impersonating bacon frying in a pan. Completely inappropriate for this scene
Yeah.
in Supernatural. But when I saw that the protester's name was David Wright, I was like,
Right.
"Oh, David, it's Dave
Oh
from
my gosh,
school.
that's funny. Okay, so then Sam makes a call to Dean that says, "Hey, I found this spell book. He's definitely making this Reaper doing his bidding, so just make sure that he doesn't heal anybody. That's your
Right,
mission."
right. And keep an eye out for the protester guy.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on
Mhm.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
But unfortunately, it is Layla's turn to be
yep,
healed.
she gets
She
called to the stage. Yep.
Yeah, Dean is like, and he stops Layla, tries to convince her to make this decision for herself. It
Right.
says, please, you have to believe me. I can't really explain right now, but Roy is not the answer. Please don't
Yeah.
go up there. And
But she goes
she
anyway.
goes, I mean, I would make that same choice too. It's just like,
Sure.
I don't know. I've been
Yeah.
waiting forever for this
Yeah.
chance. And
She doesn't like just brush him off. She's
no,
just,
she sits there and thinks about it for a second, and
she's
then
like, I need to do this.
yeah, looks at her mom, looks at him, looks at Sue-Ann, beckoning her up on the stage, and she
Yep.
decides to go.
And outside, uh unfortunately David Wright is now being chased by the Reaper.
Yeah,
He's yelling, help.
yeah, yeah.
Help.
Sam
And
finds him, goes to him, and is just like, "Where is he?" Because Sam can't see him
Sam
because
can't see him.
Reapers only appear to people that they are chasing or that they're
Right. That
after
are
or
about to, yeah,
about to
about to die.
kick the bucket.
Yep. Back inside the tent, the audio rumble has
Mhm.
started again.
Mhm. Mhm.
And uh uh now, is the preacher laying his hands on her?
He's about to.
He's
He does
about
it.
to,
He clasps his
because
hands at the beginning. You see that the close up, and then he pulls them apart and is like inches away from placing them on Lola's head when Dean yells, "Fire!
fire.
Fire in the tent! Everybody get out!" Makes a big commotion and kind of
Yeah.
interrupts things.
And so people start vacating the tent, and the
Yeah,
preacher's like, everyone, let's be safe, let's get outside.
yeah, let's go.
Layla clearly disappointed,
Yes. God, that's
but
got to be such a, like,
yeah. So
I,
close.
yeah, I don't even know. I want to say letdown, but that's not even close to the right feeling of,
Right. Such a disappointment.
Dean calls
Reaper.
Sam and is
Oh,
just like, hey, I stopped him. Should be good
yep.
now. And
Yep.
Seaman and the protester there, and for a second everything seems okay. But then you see the protester, well, you see the Reaper, right? Sam wouldn't see him, but
Right.
the Reaper's there and touches the protester, and he's still going down. You know,
Yep.
this is the still being murdered by the Reaper, and Sam says like, "Didn't work. He's still
He's still
here."
here. How could it be? Because Roy's not doing it. He
Yeah,
can see
yeah,
Roy.
he's
Roy is
gone.
not doing it. Then he's like, aha. He looks in the tent, and the only person back in the tent is Sue Ann. It's the wife.
Yes. And she's facing the corner, she's got her back to everything. She has no idea what's going on. She's clearly in her own little world. But
Yep.
Dean goes to her, turns her around, and he sees around her neck and her fondling the same symbol that was on the tarot
That
card that they are
that cross.
associating
Yeah, that
with the
Coptic
Reaper.
cross. And but in turning her around, she sees that she's caught, so she hides. She drops the cross back, like it's a necklace, so she drops it behind her shirt, in her
Yeah,
shirt.
yeah. But also he's broken her trance or her spell
Yes. Right.
in the moment. So then you see in the other scene, the Reaper kind of he stops and he's like, "Oh, uh,
Okay.
okay, I guess I'm done here," and then
Yep.
disappears.
Disappears. Yep. And Sue Ann, confronts Dean,
Hmm.
like, what are you doing?
Well, first she screams for help.
For help, right? Those
She's
stupid
just like, "Help!
cops.
Help! Help!" Cops
And
come and like drag him out of the tent.
and if we catch you around here again, we'll put the fear of God in you.
Yeah,
And I'm like, oh God, these stupid cops.
I know.
On Supernatural, the cops
They're
always are
so
the dumb
dumb.
guys. Yep. Yep. And Dean's like, yeah, okay, you'll put the
Yeah, right,
fear of
right.
God in me.
I
You
get it.
know.
But before they let him go, Sue-Ann does say, "And I'm not going to press charges because the Lord will deal with him as he sees fit," and kind of gives
Yep.
this look. After everything we've done for you, you're really gonna do this? Okay.
Yep. All right. The Lord works in mysterious ways. She doesn't say that, but
No.
that's the
It's
inference.
implied, yeah.
Yep. But Layla then confronts Dean,
Yeah.
you know, but like not in anger, just
Yeah.
like out of hurt and confusion. Like, what?
Yeah.
Why? Why
Why
would you
would you
do
do
that?
this? This was my
Yeah.
chance.
And you can tell like Dean's really torn,
Yeah.
you know, about not letting Layla get healed,
Yes.
you
There was an
know.
inner conflict here.
Yeah. He obviously doesn't want her to die, but nor does he want her to be saddled with somebody else dying so that she can live. I have a feeling that he knows that if she ever found out that she was healed
Yeah.
and somebody else died, that she would not accept that.
Yeah.
Like she wouldn't want to be living because somebody else died for her.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and she still wishes Dean luck. She's like, good luck with your life,
Yeah. Yeah.
and not in anger, not passive aggressive. She truly wishes Dean good luck with his life, even though he's clearly just sentenced her to death
Yeah.
by interrupting her healing.
Yeah. Yeah. And he says, "I do too." And under his breath, say, "You deserve it a hell of a lot more than me."
Yeah.
Which was
Again,
just like, oh, Dean.
Dean.
But he does hear in passing that Roy has invited Layla back for that evening for a private session,
Yep.
essentially.
And yeah, and you will be healed. He says to her, you know,
Yeah.
we will heal you tonight.
Yeah. Mhm.
Back at the motel,
Mhm.
the cheery, bright, sunny
Yeah.
motel, Sam and Dean come to the realization that Roy really believes that he's
Yes.
actually healing people.
Yeah, he's doing God's work.
But I think the realization there that Roy doesn't know this. He
Yes.
doesn't know that Sue Ann is doing
He
it. He
has
actually
no
feels like he's been touched
idea.
by God, right?
Mhm.
And that he's doing the Lord's work,
Mhm. Mhm. And
which
Sam
is
has stolen the little spell book, and brought it to the hotel.
mhm,
And he mentions, like, I've looked through this. This is really dark, evil stuff that you have to do in order to bind a reaper. Like, this is
yeah.
no joke.
He says the book was written by a priest who went, quote, dark side, which is
Yeah.
again just
Star
another
Wars.
Star Wars reference.
I felt like Sam was seeing this in very black and white. It's just like, this is evil, period. And Dean says, no, she was desperate. Her husband was dying and she wanted to save him. And, he doesn't
Yep.
say this, but he's just like, you did the same thing. You
Yep.
were desperate.
Yep.
You took a route that you probably wouldn't normally have done
Yep.
for me. And she did the same.
Now she's a little twisted by it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, she thinks she's doing the Lord's work.
Yes. By
Roy
killing.
thinks he's
Mhm.
right. Everyone thinks that they're doing the right thing,
Yeah. Yeah. Because
you know,
she is killing people who she sees as immoral.
in her mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We don't
Gay,
believe these things, by the
abortion
way.
rights.
Yeah.
Right. Protesters.
Yeah.
She thinks Dean is now worth killing.
Right.
Um yeah, I was going to, go back to when the Reaper was standing next to Roy, healing the old man while killing the young girl in the woods. Roy didn't see the Reaper,
Right.
and I mean, obviously he's blind, but he didn't sense that there was a Reaper there. That just made me think he doesn't know. He is not actively involved in this
Mhm.
Reaper's presence,
Yeah. Yeah.
and now we know for sure that he's not.
Yes.
That he's not.
So they do learn through reading this book that, in order to keep this up, you have to have an altar built filled with, like, lots of black and dark magic and
Yeah,
bad things. And so they say, should we destroy the altar or destroy the cross around her neck? Maybe let's just do both just to be safe.
and Dean is still torn
Yeah.
about Layla.
Yeah. He
Still
even.
not sure if this is the way to go. And Sam says, you can't play God.
Yeah.
This is Layla's path is Layla's path.
Mhm.
Um, Dean says, may God save me from half of the people who think they're doing God's work.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh,
This is a
wow.
good
And
line.
yeah, I feel that. I absolutely feel that because like we said, people think that they've been chosen to do God's work and they don't stop to think like, what are they actually doing?
Right.
In reality, what are they doing
Mhm. Mhm.
under the guise of God's work or what they feel has been, their task has been given to
Right.
them.
Right.
Um,
So they split up again. Uh, Dean goes and causes a distraction for the cops so Sam can find Sue Ann, who they don't see in the tent, and they surmise that she's back at the house.
Back at the house, right?
And here is where I wrote that the cops are dumb. Because Sam, like, scares a dog that's been hiding in a Winnebago type of thing. And cops see the dog and they're like, oh, stupid mutt, and then walk away.
Right. It
It's
was like,
just like,
why would the dog be
I
barking?
know. Oh, maybe
Yeah,
it's the guy that we're chasing, and then they just walk off. They're like,
walk off. Oh, yeah, I like that they even gave chase at all, because I mean, all Dean said was, "So you want to put the fear of God in me?" It's
Yeah.
like, so they chase him. It's like, what are you gonna
That's
do
all
when
they
you
need.
catch him? You know, give him a wedgie? What?
Oh
Oh
god.
man. So back at the house,
Uh-huh.
Sam notices lights on in the cellar.
Mhm.
So he heads down to the cellar, um, and he finds the altar.
Yeah. My
And
my grandma had a cellar like that at her farmhouse. With the
really,
doors up like that, yeah.
yeah, so like the storm cellar type
Uh-huh.
doors.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
She did not have a black magic altar in it, but
No, okay.
yeah.
So did you get a look at this altar? Props
Kinda it
department must have had a field day.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, I don't know if you're gonna point out anything specific because I did not. Okay, but I was looking at it like, oh man, this thing is covered with stuff.
Stuff. All right. This is just what I noticed.
Okay.
Um, Goat horns,
Oh my god.
a human skull dripping with blood, the
Mhm.
Coptic cross, of
Mhm.
course, multiple other crosses, a photo of Dean with a bloody X
Yeah.
across his face,
Yes.
candles, wax drippings,
Mhm.
blood drippings, a decomposed, burnt human hand with a large
Mm.
ring on it,
Mm.
a human jawbone, a bird's wing, and I could be wrong, but two sets of anal beads.
No. Oh my god, I hope that's true. I'm gonna believe it's true. I'm not even gonna go back and look and see if it is. I'm just gonna assume that yes, it's true. Oh my god. Anal beads? Now that is some dark magic.
Mer.
Sorry, that was a bad joke.
Yep, that's disgusting, Sammy. Um, so while Sam is looking over this altar, and
Yeah.
he picks up the picture of Sam with Dean with the bloody X through
Mhm.
it. Suan appears and says, "I gave your brother life, and I can take it away." Which
Yeah.
clearly not doing God's work.
She must like rush out of the cellar while Sam is toppling over and destroying the altar.
Yeah, he knocks it over, and
Yeah.
she runs out and she locks him in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She makes this
all.
huge monologue about like, "Can't you see that your brother is wicked and he deserves to die
Yeah,
just
the
as much
Lord
as
chose
Layla
me.
deserves to live?" Yeah.
The trope, the trope. Yes, yeah, reward the just and punish the wicked, and your brother is wicked. It's
Yeah.
all this religious
Uh,
babble. So she's
yeah.
clearly drinking her own Kool-Aid.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
God's will, and I wrote bullshit. That's what my note here says.
So while
Bullshit.
she's off monologuing, Sam is just like, "Okay, I'm not going to open this door, but maybe I can find another way out." And finds a window behind what like the washing machine or something like that.
Yeah, busts out the window.
Anyway, he escapes pretty easily.
Yeah.
Um but while that's happening, um Dean is wandering around and runs into the Reaper.
But not before the lights go out. Dean is standing under some outdoor lights,
Oh, yeah, 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 they
and the
flicker.
lights go. Three lights go. One goes
Yeah.
out.
Ching,
Second
ching,
goes
ching,
out.
ching, ching.
Third goes
Yeah,
out. And then as like camera pans down,
yeah.
there's the Reaper.
And I noticed that Dean didn't try to escape. Like, he stands there facing the Reaper for a few seconds, like enough time to be like, oh shit, gotta go. And he
Right.
doesn't. He doesn't move. He just, I mean, I don't really know what was going on through his head, but I think he was just, you know what,
I'm.
if this is supposed to happen, then this is supposed to happen.
It could be Layla getting saved.
Yeah,
With his death.
yeah.
That's. You are right. I think that's what played through his mind in that moment, because
Mm-hmm.
otherwise, why wouldn't he have just run? I think he was accepting his fate that
Mm-hmm.
Dean does.
Yeah,
If I'm supposed to die, I'm going to die.
yeah.
And two, maybe this is Layla's salvation. All
Right.
said in just a moment
Mm-hmm.
of
Of
look without.
hesitation. So the Reaper appears because Roy is now in the process of trying to heal Layla.
Yep,
He's got his hand on her head.
yep,
Layla's, you can see her getting ready to be healed. She's waiting for that feeling of feeling better. Suan is outside of the tent, mumbling some sort of Latin chant or
incantation.
spell.
Yeah,
Yeah. Sam sneaks up behind her, grabs the necklace, throws it on the ground. It's filled with blood.
ugh. Probably another good sign that it's not truly God's nature there.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, there's like a few different things going
Okay.
on. The Reaper lets go of Dean, and he kind of has this confused look about him, like, oh,
Like,
there's this is
what am I
different.
Yeah,
Like,
he literally looks around like, "Oh, how did I get here?"
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
And in the tent, Roy is also thinking, this is different.
Yeah,
Usually I can feel
feel
the healing happen, but nothing is going on. And even Layla says,
yeah,
I don't feel any different.
I feel so bad for her.
I
Yeah,
know.
she said that. She just looks, she says, "I don't feel different." And I'm just like, my heart breaks.
Yeah, it was really
Crushed.
sad. Yes.
Yeah.
And then back to Sue Ann and Sam. Sue Ann is saying, what have you done? And
My God, what have you
yeah, yeah,
done?
yeah.
And
Does
Sam says,
he says here you can't play God? Is
"He's
that-
not your God."
Oh, right, right, right.
Yep.
Right, right, right. And then you see the Reaper looking at Suan, and this look is just so menacing and justified, honestly. He's like, ha ha ha. You
Yeah, he's
think
like,
you can
"You,
entrap me? You are
I,
going to pay.
yeah." He's like, "I have been under your spell for how long?"
Yeah.
Yeah. He comes after her. Not a problem. She's not
Mm-hmm.
running anywhere.
Yeah.
Um, Lays his hands on her and starts to, drain the life from her.
Mm-hmm.
But the Reaper seems happy.
Oh, he is
He
so happy.
seems like happy. I mean, not like a big smile on his face,
Uh-huh.
but definitely different than when he was under the control of Suan. He's
Yeah.
under his own power,
Right.
and he's killing her by his choice. And he
Yes.
seems, this is,
Yes.
now it's right.
Yeah.
Now this feels right.
This is justified. And then we cut, or there's a brief scene of Roy shouting
Oh,
for Suan
Suan.
because something, his healing process has gone wrong. And he goes,
Right.
Suan, Suan, where are you?
It
And my heart broke for
broke.
Roy.
Yes, I wrote the same thing. It was so, he was so lost.
Yeah,
And it wasn't his fault.
I
He
know.
wasn't walking down the wrong path. It was he and just that calling out for his guidance, for his wife, for his
Yeah,
partner,
yeah,
and his loss, like, I don't know if he lost his faith in that moment, because he didn't have God's power with him anymore.
right,
So he thinks.
right.
Um,
Or in that
yes.
moment at the very least, it's like, this has worked every other time. What's different
Why
about
can't
this?
Yeah, I want to heal her.
Yeah,
I
and
want to help her.
where's my
And
rock? Where's my Suan? Because
yeah,
he's completely oblivious to what she's done.
right. That
Um,
yes, broke your heart. It broke my heart. At the
yeah,
same time, I did a,
yeah,
one of those gasps. So,
yeah,
I mean, yeah, this is a heartbreaking episode.
yeah,
There were consequences that affected so many people
yeah,
because of this one person's actions. So many people were affected.
yeah.
Um,
And even when when Sam and Dean meet back at the car, like right after all of this happened, Dean says, "Did we do the right thing?"
yeah,
It's kind of the theme about this episode.
yeah. Yeah, did we do the right thing? Dean's still conflicted.
Yeah,
Still complete. And even Sam is like, this is not the happy ending.
yeah,
This isn't us driving off into the sunset, having saved the day type of
yeah,
thing.
yeah. So they're back at the Moody Motel. Uh, they're chatting. They're not really celebrating this victory. They're just
They're
kind
still
of,
questioning.
yeah,
They're still questioning, if they did the right thing.
yeah. And then there's a knock at the door, and it's Layla. And Jean's like, "Oh, what are you doing here?" And she's like, "Oh, Sam called me and said you wanted to say goodbye," which this was a bit of a stretch for me as well. I was like, this is obviously just a plot device to get the two in the same
Same room
room at the end
together.
of the episode. So
Sure.
Sam excuses himself, goes to get a soda, and she, says, it's like, I went back to see Roy, but nothing really happened. And
Yeah.
Sue-Ann had a stroke, which is weird, and Dina's like, yeah, Roy is a good guy, and he doesn't deserve any of this.
Yeah. She still feels bad for Roy and not
Mm-hmm.
herself.
Yeah.
She still has empathy and sympathy for what other people are going through,
Yeah.
as opposed to, well, now I don't get to get healed.
Right.
She's thinking about Roy and his loss.
Yeah. Yeah. And he says, it must be hard to believe in something so hard, and then it not turn out the way that you want it to.
Mhm.
Which I think was him talking about Roy and her.
Yes, to believe so hard in something only to be let down by it.
Right, right, right. And then she says, "What's weird though? I'm okay. I'm okay with this outcome because," and I loved this line, "if you're going to have faith, you can't just have it when the miracles happen. You have to have it when they don't."
Yep.
And I
Yep.
was like, "Oh,
Yeah, and heartbreaking.
yeah.
You would hope that more people could embrace that about
Mhm.
their faith, about their religion.
You're right.
That it's not all about show me, where's the proof? And they stick around in faith that there's a reason behind everything,
Yeah.
good or bad.
Yeah.
So, and Layla says again, God works in mysterious ways.
Yeah.
Starts the episode, ends the episode. Although she does say one other.
Well, Dean says, "I'm not a praying type, but I will pray for you." And I believed him when he said that. It wasn't just him being cheeky to a cute lady. I felt like he really believed that, or he was serious when he said this. And she says, "Well, there's a miracle right there."
Yeah.
And I think
So
that's
for
the final line of the episode.
yeah. So for Dean, who doesn't pray,
Hmm.
to say that he would pray for her, she's accepting Dean being saved as her miracle.
Yeah.
As again, it's not about her.
Hmm.
I just loved her character, and my
I did
heart broke
too.
for her.
Uh-huh.
Did you happen to notice the medallion she was wearing?
I know she was wearing a medallion, but I didn't see what it was.
It's a Catholic saints medal,
Oh, mm-hmm.
very popular in Catholicism to wear a
Your
patron saint
saint.
of,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And she was wearing Saint Peregrine,
Mm-hmm.
who is the patron saint of cancer. Oh, I loved her. And my heart broke for her, and my heart broke for Dean because he knew what was in store for her, and she knew
Yeah.
what was in store for her. And the connection was heart to heart. It was a personal connection. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't a horn dog moment. It wasn't, he didn't get to save her. He didn't get to be
Yeah.
the hero.
I know. I know. There wasn't usually the end of these episodes are the wrap up scenes where everyone was just like, "Wow, really, thank you so much for all you did. You really saved me back there." And this wasn't one of those scenes.
Nope, it's really it was really sad.
It
It was really
was.
sad, but it just showed even even Sam in calling Layla to the hotel did that for Dean, knowing that Dean needed this closure. Sam
Yeah.
still puts Dean, still thinks about Dean and Dean's well-being, not just his health and life,
Mhm.
but spiritual well-being. Like he
Yeah.
knew Dean needed this time with her and made it happen because otherwise they would have just gotten the car and driven off.
Right.
So Sam still does uh, do what it takes for his brother.
Mhm. I have to say I really like this pair of writers.
Yeah,
Because Dead in the Water, I was also like, man, this is really like a juicy episode. It was intricate. There were a lot of different themes being woven around here. And they
yeah,
also, it looks like they have a pattern of, they kind of make Dean out to be a little douchey in the beginning so he can then redeem himself in a big
yeah,
hardcore way towards the end or even like halfway through.
right, right.
Um,
Hmm.
so I like that they do that with him. Okay, so for our shout out this week for people doing things who are, oh fuck, I can't do it without singing it.
Sing it.
Shout out to people doing things that aren't the things that they normally do.
Boop.
That's what it is. Boop. Uh, we have a friend Joe. He is a fight director. We call him Joe the Fight Guy because it's catchy, and cute.
That's what he is.
Yes, that is what he is. We met him when we were doing a Western opera. So there's a huge bar fight scene going on that he was choreographing.
Oh, I love that scene.
I know, so much fun. So but people, especially opera singers, are probably not well suited for act fighting. So we do bring on people who can be like, all right, this is how you do it safely and make it look good. So not only did he do that, but he also served as basically a stunt guy within the fight. So he was on stage for this fight scene. So he could do kind of the cooler tricks, that maybe singers probably didn't
Opera
want to
singers
do,
couldn't
or
do.
couldn't do.
Like get thrown over a table, get punched in the face, get
Mm-hmm.
smashed by a bottle.
Right.
Yeah.
Your standard opera doings. So, because of the pandemic, productions have shut down. And when they started to shut down, Joe just started building stuff in his basement, as in furniture, just like started, went from fighting to carpentry, as you do. And when it was obvious that the pandemic kind of wasn't really going anywhere, he decided to make this into a business. So he moved from his basement to a full-fledged shop and started building furniture, specifically furniture for school kids.
Yeah, like Montessori styled
Yes.
furniture. Yeah.
Yes.
Desks, cubbies, chairs, educational.
I don't know, cabinetry. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff that would belong in a schoolroom, and maybe even then some. I mean, he's got like a wash basin station. So
Right,
it's a station
right.
that includes the sink, everything but the kitchen sink.
And
Well,
but
this
the
one
kitchen
has
sink.
the kitchen sink. He has the kitchen sink in his stock.
Yeah.
So not only is he building furniture for school children, which is high quality handmade, was really gonna last like the rough and tumble.
Kids.
He's also employing other people who are in the arts that no longer have a job as of right now because of the pandemic.
Right.
So he's doing a few great things in this business
Yeah.
of his.
He's doing what he can to help, which is amazing. I mean, even if it's only a couple of people here and there to help out in the shop, I mean, that's still employing people who wouldn't
Exactly.
normally have any work. So
Right.
good for you, Joe.
You should check out his stuff. He does ship nationwide. His company is called Sapling Supply. That's sapling-supply.net. Not underscore, but dash. We'll put his stuff in our social links so you can go check it out. And even if you're not in the market for classroom furniture, still go check him out. Give him some support. Recommend him to people that might be looking for trying to boost up their homeschooling
Yeah.
accoutrement.
Yep.
So go check him out. We're also hoping to have him on our podcast for some future episodes that might feature a pretty hefty fight scene, so he
Oh,
can
that'd
give
be
us,
great.
I know, a little bit of behind the scenes
Fight
information.
guy, fight guy insight.
Fight guy insight, yes, exactly.
That'd be great. I would love to have Joe on the show.
I know. So go check Joe the furniture guy out.
Joe the fight guy. Oh, Joe
Yeah.
the furniture guy.
Yeah. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for tuning into this episode that we loved so much. Tune in next week for Route 666. Oh my
Yes.
God, they did a little pun.
Oh my gosh. I remember this episode.
I
I don't remember all the episodes that we've been watching, but this one stands out in my head. I remember this one.
I don't really remember this episode at all. So, woohoo!
Oh, okay. Something to look
Fun.
forward to.
Check out our social media. We're on Instagram and Facebook as at Salt and Burn This Pod, and Twitter at Salt and Burn This. Just engage with us, send us messages. We'll chat with you. I promise. We don't have much else going on, so
Please.
like,
Please reach out to us.
subscribe, rate the podcast, please. If you can, it really, really helps us out. Share us with other Supernatural fans.
Please.
Yes, please. All right. Shameless begging over. We will see you next week for Route 666. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.